All right, so this is the gateway to the North Pasture area, and there was a horseshoe here, but it looks like it's on the ground now. So you come in and there's just kind of a big open grassy area, and to the right there's some shade from trees on the outside, and you can see over to the food bank area from here. And then of course the first big thing is the big cell tower, and right in front of the big cell tower is a big hill that we're pretty sure is all of the dirt that was dug up in order to install the cell tower. And one thing we've noticed is the broom really seems to like these kinds of artificial hills for some reason. So, whoops, sorry about that. A little bit right here to my left, there's the first big patch of tansy. It seems to grow in kind of big patches around, so not to get too distracted. We go straight ahead. This tree right in front of me to the left of the cell tower looks like some kind of something that's in the cherry family, but that also could be plum or whatever. It's probably cherry, pear, cherry, or plum. I know that those trees are all kind of part of the same category. So since it's not in season and I don't see plums on it, my guess is that it's cherries. And I also don't see pears on it. But it obviously, like all the other trees here, could be pruned, especially all that deadwood right there. So, but other than that, I'm pretty sure it's a fruit tree. Hard to say whether it's ornamental or not, but I would assume it's probably supposed to be production. All right, so moving on. As you get around the big hill and all of that broom that we just talked about, you see the cell tower base, and you can hear all the noise from it. That's one of my least favorite things about the cell tower. So whatever we do to develop this land, I would prefer that if we have people coming on here, that's not really a big attraction area for obvious reasons. So might think about what we would want to have over here that we don't care about hearing that all the time, or even just the hazard of being near all of this electrical stuff that doesn't belong to us. And I know that we talked about somewhere around here there's kind of a pile of debris that they left. I thought that was more over kind of behind it, and we're hoping to get them to clean it up, but I'm sure Jack talked more about that in his video. These are nice shade trees in the morning. I don't know if that's really gonna help us much. This is the first of the trees that we've learned were the madrona trees, and they drop this really cool paper bark. And I found out some other things about them that I don't really remember right now, but this entire region over here at Sunrise Ridge seems to have a whole bunch of them. The ground here is still pretty easy to walk. It's mostly just grassy that's been beaten down. Back behind these trees are a lot of brambles. We probably would want to clear that out as much as we can, or it'll take over, and I don't think this is a spot we want them doing that particularly. So keep going, more madrona trees. The ground gets a little rougher here to walk through, and I want to say there's 2 of these madrona trees here. There's a little patch of tansy, a little bit of broom, but not really like a stand of it. And you can hear I'm having to crunch through a little more than I was before. Yet another madrona tree. The fence I notice all along this is pretty good looking. I haven't seen any active breaks in it. So, like we see a lot along the back property. When you get here, you can see the tower to the that I think belongs to the Voice of Ashland people. So I don't know if that's really useful information, but it's just something I noticed. Here's where all of a sudden there's this huge stand of something from the thistle family. I don't know if it's straight up thistle, but there's enough of it that I'm actually gonna try to go around it, around to the west side. So I'm gonna be going around this tree. I'm still heading mostly north here. Here out in the center is mostly just grass and clearing, except for a few patches of the tansy, and I am gonna have to walk through the tansy. Here's, oh, this is a good find. we talked about finding native blackberry in the backyard, but it looks like we have some of it right here, and that's the berries with this kind of toothy thing. It's mixed in with the Himalayan, which is the non-native invasive stuff, but I'm all for trying to get rid of the invasive and trying to keep the native one. Just as a general rule, the native one obviously is not invasive in the same way, and we also think the berries have kind of a unique taste. But this is part of this area that's kind of hard to trek through because of all the brambles and the thistles. So right in front of me, back facing north, is the tansy patch again. It's tall, but it's not impossible to walk through. It is a little brambly though, and you can hear, but it's better than the other side of the tree. Coming up on a big evergreen tree. I don't know what kind it is. And probably, I don't know, some kind of fir. It doesn't look like cedar to me. It looks like a Christmas tree. So it could be a noble. I don't know. I'm not very good with evergreen trees. Now I'm kind of heading east a little to go around this tree. Fencing still looks good. I see brambles in the fencing. Probably not the good kind. So hopefully we can get rid of some of that as we clear this land. All right, and as we get to the eastern edge, you can see these are definitely the madrona trees again. There's another 2 or 3 of them here planted all together. And I didn't notice this, underneath, all of a sudden the ground is clear. I'm gonna do a little 360 here. So I'm wondering if the trees kind of discourage the big stands of tansy and thistle that we just came through. I'm not sure. And there's another one of those kind of classic Northwest trees that I would like to have somebody identify. Anyway, there's something caught my eye over here in the very far corner. There's some kind of small tree. I think it's dead though. It's either dead or there's a few leaves on it. Yeah, I don't know what this is, but I think it looks very intentional. So I'd be curious to see if that ever does anything. Anyway, there's the bottom of the madrona in the far, what is this? The northeast corner. Is that right? Yeah, the northeast corner. And there's a little thing of holly here. And I don't see any reason to get rid of that unless we actually want to do something. But you can see where the fence ends. It's not as nice all of a sudden at the end. And then it turns into what looks like a different fence to me that's much shorter and possibly not as well maintained, or maybe it's older. I don't know. All right, so now I'm heading out west, and I'm gonna have to duck under this tree a little bit. This is all just mostly grassy and leaves. Grass is greener because the trees kept it shady. You can see back looking north is the neighboring field. I don't remember who that belongs to. I think it's private. All right. So, really nice big shade tree. If I were a kid, I would love playing under this with all of the low-hanging boughs and stuff. I expect Cordelia to have a lot of fun. And then suddenly we have a big open patch. There's not a lot here. A couple of stands of tansy, a little bit of broom. Still mostly looking west. Big exciting thing I'm focusing on here. There's a big apple tree right in the center, possibly Oregon crab apple if my seed gap is correct, which I have a feeling it's not, but it's kind of cool the way it grew. Probably a natural growth pattern, like nobody tried to train it. It means it's actually really easy for somebody small to pick from. And now for just a second I'm going to look back south towards the house. There's that stand of oak trees that somebody put in probably as a windbreak, and there's a patch of broom right in the center, but other than that you can see how the center is just open grass field. So looking back to the west is where we come up, is after we get past all this nice open ground, all of a sudden there's just broom, and it's so thick you can't walk through it. So I have to take a detour around the apple tree. Very nice apple tree, lots of apples. Tried to get Cordelia to come over here today to pick, but she wanted to do the one behind the barn. They're little apples. It just tells me that this is probably a more, a less hybridized, more wild apple tree. But I'm not like an expert or anything. So you can kind of go back in the broom if you want to dodge all the maze and stuff, but it really obstructs your view. So we're gonna need to learn about broom eradication all over the property. So I'm going around it. I'm still trying to head west as much as I can. So I'm kind of going southwest here. Field has a big patch of that tansy, like a really big patch here. And then this is just kind of the center I'm getting a little clip of, and then I'm gonna turn back to the west. I'm able to go west some more now. Almost feels like this is a grass pathway, but I don't know how intentional. And here, more broom to the north, a little bit of a clearing right here, but it's just really hard to see anything except the tips of trees on the other property because the broom is just in the way. So I think here the broom is coming up on you can see a gate there, and I'm pretty sure that's the western edge of our property. And there's broom growing in front of it, but you can walk right up to the gate at least. It's not really a gate attached to the fence behind it. It's just sitting on the front, I believe. And not really sure. It's almost like there was another fence on the back here. Maybe this opened up. I don't know, because there's a post there, but it's also disconnected to the fencing behind it. So my guess is Jack has better ideas on how that came to be to me. I'm just going around the broom here. So I'm facing towards the house. You can see the house there a little bit. Quick view to the east of the cell tower and those trees over in the northeast that we went through. Big field in the center. All right, heading east again. I'm just kind of following the fence. The broom keeps me from going right up against the fence. Broom, broom, broom. Ooh, some exciting animal parts here that I'm not going to take a video of. A decomposing animal, maybe a rat, I'm not sure. For a second while we're here, I just think these trees are kind of interesting. I'm not sure what they are, so I want to find out more about that. And they're over here, and I guess part of what's interesting is that they definitely make a line, but then there's like a space in between here, and I don't know if that's intentional or that maybe a couple trees didn't survive. So they're very different from all the other trees on the property. So that makes them interesting to me. Let's see. They almost look like cottonwoods, except the cottonwood trees I grew up with were much bigger than that. And there's another stand of them right there. So I'm able to push west again here a little bit because the broom finally cleared up. And what do we find? An apple tree that has its trunk in the neighboring yard, but literally just on the other side of the fence, which means a ton of the apples fall on our side. And that usually the rules there are you can take whatever is on your side. I don't think anybody's over here claiming the apple tree, or they would have cut it back to their side. So anyway, it looks nice. It's an apple tree. Doesn't look quite as wild as the other one, but they are still smaller than the apples in the back, and usually smaller apples are wilder apples. Following along here, we've got more Himalayan blackberry, but not very productive. Oh, there's actually some holly growing underneath the apple tree. I'd probably want to get rid of it here just because, I don't know, it's obscuring the apple tree and cluttering up the fence. I don't know what we would want to do along these fences if we did get rid of the brambles. That's something we want to talk about, I guess. This is kind of interesting. This is the base of those trees I was talking about a minute ago, the tall, skinny trees that look like a windbreak. One is laying on the ground, so maybe some of them did die and fall over. I don't know, that one looks like it just broke off though. So who knows? And as we keep going, following the fence here, can't really see much past it because of the brambles and stuff, but you can see I'm coming down to the southern edge of the north pasture area because you can see the shipping container, and there's a little outlet over here. So almost all of this is completely fenced in, but right behind the shipping container you can sneak back there, and it's like a little secret pathway to the what do we call it, the western triangle, western pasture, whatever we're calling that area. So that's kind of nice to know. You can go straight through there if you want, but if you did not want people being able to do this, we'd want to put some kind of gate or something here. Shipping container, not really in this section, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm under Yeah, it looks like a cottonwood leaf, but maybe it's just a different kind that I'm used to. I'm sure there's a million kinds of cottonwood trees. And now I'm just heading back to the gate. This is just kind of another grassy area with some downed branches from these trees. And the trees, the line kind of goes at a weird, I don't know, it almost seems like a curved line. But anyway, as we come back towards the entrance that we came in, there's a big debris pile right here. I don't know whether we'd want to burn that. I wouldn't want to burn something if it was toxic. How we know that? I don't know. But otherwise, we maybe just need it hauled away. So that's something we already have, but we want to talk about. Another little stand of tansy here, so I'm going to go around it because the tansy's harder to walk through than the grass is. So yeah, this area is a little weedier, a little less grass laying down nicely and neatly. A lot of the tansy in here. And you can see all of a sudden the tansy just kind of ends and we have grass again. There's an interesting plant here that I'll probably be able to tell what it is. It's that brown thing. Looks kind of like maybe a carrot family plant, but I don't know. Can't tell this time of year. Maybe cow parsnip. Looking back here, this is the grassy we talked about. There's another little stand of broom right here. I don't know why it particularly likes this spot, but it did. And then we have another brush pile. This is not debris from a building like the last one. This is actually like, I don't know, it looks like lawn clippings and pruned branches, or maybe just naturally fallen, or maybe I see rhododendron as well as evergreen, and it's just clearly where they picked to put yard debris, I guess. Also, this definitely, if it were safe to burn, I would feel safe burning this for sure. If there weren't a fire hazard. On this side, they definitely put all the lawn clippings right here. So that's a great source for compost. So if we're not going to use this spot immediately for compost, then I would start trucking some of it down to wherever we do put the compost, which we talked about doing in the enclosed garden area, or quasi-enclosed. All right, so we're back here to the entrance, and I can't really think of anything else to say. Just real quick, this tree here that Jack calls the Christmas tree, it kind of pushes out into this part. So it would be a good conversation. Do we want to cut it back? Do we want to let it grow through the fence like that? Do we care? I don't know, just something to think about. And I'm back at the gate, and I'm going to look back out towards the west one more time. And I think I am done.